Hi, Jamie with Inward Growth Counseling Solutions here. And today we're going to talk a little bit about maladaptive behaviors. So, last time we talked about dysfunctional negative emotions and functional, or what we call healthy negative emotions. And that we really wanted to be able to, when we think about our consequences, really be able to differentiate and delineate between those two things. And we're going to do the same right now when it comes to behaviors, because for every consequence, there's a maladaptive or unhealthy negative emotion, and there is also a healthy negative emotion. And then there are maladaptive or unhelpful behaviors or tendencies. And then there are, behaviors that are helpful and adaptive and really work for us. And so it's important to really look and tell the truth about, is the consequence, in that ABC model, is the consequence and the behavioral consequence something that is adaptive and actually truly gets us what we want, or doesn't really get us what we want. So when we think about maladaptive behaviors, some of those things might be social avoidance. And so people invite us to go participate in activities, and we say we have something that we're needing to do, but we actually know that that's not the case. So maybe it's your coworkers and they say, hey, let's get together after work today. And you say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I already have other plans, when actually, really, you're just going to go home and turn on the TV and kind of check out. And you know that this has been going on for a very long time, and you really would like to spend time with them, and you'd really like to get to know your coworkers, and yet at the same time, you don't. Another example might be not taking care of yourself. And so you know that it's important that you get enough rest, you get plenty of exercise, you eat right, and yet you find yourself over and over and over not doing those things. And inevitably, there's emotions that are attached to that. So, for example, maybe you're not exercising and you feel guilty, versus, maybe you regret that you didn't get exercise in for the day. So guilt versus regret are two totally different emotions. That guilt is really that unhealthy negative emotion versus regret, which is what we call a healthy negative emotion. So when you don't exercise, and I guess it's important to kind of look and see, is this something that's going on for a long time, or is this just every once in a while and you really are too busy to get that exercise in? And then, being aggressive. And when we talk about aggressive, we can talk about verbally aggressive or physically aggressive, but aggressive in a way that it impacts our life and probably the lives of others. And so when we think about those types of behaviors and being physically or verbally aggressive, those are the types of behaviors. And you could also say a maladaptive behavior would be being passive and not really speaking up and saying what's there, versus an adaptive or helpful behavior is being assertive and really saying what you need to say and speaking your mind. And that's not about causing harm to someone else, but it really is about stating what you need to state in a way that not only shows respect for yourself, but also respects the other person. Now, does that mean that they're going to like what you have to say when you're being assertive? No, not always. There's so many times where we're assertive with people and they may be left with, oh, well, that's not what and they get upset and they get frustrated and they don't know what to say because all of a sudden you're being assertive, versus how you may have been in the past, which was either aggressive or passive. So those are examples of what we might call maladaptive behaviors versus adaptive or helpful behaviors. And so I hope this session was helpful and that you can use it to really understand your ABCs, especially the consequences when we're pulling that apart and getting clear about not only the behavioral component, but also the emotional component. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to subscribe.